Awesome. Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Fast Forward series with myself, Nastassha. Today we've got a very, very special guest. His name is Tanmay Khairnar, and he's a digital analytics specialist that works within our Vodafone business intelligence team. He's worked across markets like Ireland, South Africa, and the UK, supporting all of us around our e-commerce ambitions and everything that we need to do around our website design and improvements. The reason why we're covering this topic today is digital analytics is such an important topic for small businesses, but we also understand that it's one of those topics that seem very intimidating, can seem very, very complex, and sometimes you also just don't know where to start. We also know that people don't have, or businesses don't have, unlimited resources and understanding. So we've brought our skill in the form of Tanmay to help share with you guys a little bit more about what digital analytics is, how you can use it in your business, and what some of those benefits are when you start applying it in your business. So Tanmay, do you want to introduce yourself and just say hi and give everybody a little bit of a background about today's topic?
Yeah, sure, Nas. Thanks a lot. I'm actually very honored you've invited me for giving this talk session regarding the digital analytics piece. So, as Nastassha mentioned, I have been working with Vodafone for like a significant amount of time of 4 years in digital analytics field. So, in my day-to-day work, I basically help the markets. Different markets, be it Vodafone UK, Vodafone Ireland, or even Vodacom South Africa. I've basically helped them understand how their e-commerce market is behaving in terms of the online experiences and on their websites, and how we can increase revenue and sales out of those different kinds of journeys that are present on the digital front. So yeah, I'm pretty much excited about explaining this topic, and I hope I do justice to it.
Sure you will, Tanmay. I think the one thing I just want to start and make sure that everybody that starts watching this video and watching this recording, it is very simple. It seems very complex, and what Tanmay will help today is to simplify so that you can better understand exactly how this can help your business. So Tanmay, maybe we should just start with a little bit of an introduction in terms of what today's masterclass is about, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, sure. Let me just share my screen 1 second. Today's session is mainly on digital analytics, and in today's session, the agenda that we'll be covering is basically a brief introduction to digital analytics, understanding what digital analytics is. Then the second, we'll move forward to understand where we can exactly measure the performance of any digital analytic measures that we have. Then we move on to what kind of insights we get out of digital analytics. And then definitely the next steps that would come once you understand what digital analytics is. So before we start, I just want to touch base on a few points regarding how can digital analytics, help any small business. So it basically gives you the ability to effectively understand who your customer is. Because now, since you understand your customer, you basically can, you can offer a proper new better product to your customers. You can identify new business opportunities as well with it. And it also helps you reduce guesswork in your any kind of strategy that you come up with. So it definitely, you don't have to go around the point that okay, I feel like this is something that I can do. With digital analytics, all of these decisions, all of these strategies are basically data backed. So you don't have to worry about any risk factor in it. It definitely reduces your risk. It enables you to make better decisions, and it definitely saves your money and time as well. And the third and the most important point of how it helps any small businesses is it is a real-time data. So it basically gives you a very fast data, as well as it enables very fast decision making, and it smoothens very your day-to-day operations as well. With this, it also gives you the ability to rapidly detect and address any issue that may occur with your product on the website or on the app. So yeah, let's dive into it to understand it a bit in detail. So for the purpose of this masterclass, we basically have brought in a persona called Denzel. So this is Denzel. He is basically a honey business owner, uh, and what he basically does is he imports his honey from Nambia and brings it to South Africa, where he sells them in his retail stores. Currently, he has a lot of many retail stores in South Africa where he's selling his honey. But Denzel has future plans of expanding his business. So mainly his goals and needs for his future are he wants to use website as a channel for commerce. So like he currently already has a website where which he uses as a brochure for his honey business. But he has adopted a style where he would be selling the honey online, and he's definitely much more interested in increasing this channel as a channel of commerce. The second goal he has is he wants to increase his marketing and sales. Definitely, any business which wants to grow, they need to grow in terms of sales, and for that, this is the perfect goal. Then the third point is he wants to build a brand awareness about Denzel Honey. So like he wants the other people to know like there is something called Denzel Honey, and it is a brand to be trusted, and where whoever needs honey, can easily go to Denzel. So, since he's going into a channel of e-commerce in terms of expanding into a website and on a digital platform, let's see a few questions Denzel has. So, in my years of experience, in my 4 years of experience with analytics, I had a lot of chats with different kinds of people. They have been there some chats with my colleagues, some with my seniors, some with you know uh, this some CEOs and all. So each one has a very different definition of analytics, but the most basic one that according to me works like for understanding analytics is it's basically a science of analysis. So uh, to understand this, let's dive deeper into understanding what exactly is analysis. So when we say the term analysis, it basically means we are taking a complex topic, we are breaking it down into smaller parts, and we understand each smaller part differently, and then we basically collate everything. So the topic could be related to anything. Like you could take a complex business problem, which you might be trying to solve in your through your business. You break down that problem into multiple small parts and try to understand each one, and then get to the core crux of your issue. So it's another way I would say analysis. What analytics is, it's basically the art of getting insights from your data. So this is an art which can be learned by anyone. It's not only like you need to have a certain degree or certain education to understand it. It's a very simpler form of art which can be understood by anyone, and you basically have to understand what is good for your business and what is not. So let's get into a more of a technical definition of analytics for a business. So analytics is basically how a business arrives at an optimal and realistic decision informed with the help of data. So I know this definition might sound a bit too technical. So what we can do is let's analyze this statement itself, and let's try to understand each and every portion of the statement properly. So in the statement, you see I have bolded out a few of the words. Let's try to understand each and every word. So when we say a business, it actually is referring to any kind of business. It could be a private, government business, public business, academic, or even a non-profit business. And the how here is referring to a process. So it is as if you go literally, it's basically a process a business can take, any kind of business can take to arrive at a decision. So decision is basically the action you would need to take, the business owner would need to take. Now, what kind of decision it could be? So the most obvious one would be, it will be an optimal decision. So when we say an optimal decision, it's basically the best solution it is there if there were no constraints. But we know life is not easy. There definitely are some problems we face in day-to-day business. So the decision also needs to be realistic. So when we say realistic, it's basically factoring in different constraints that are coming. And what we need to do is the decision should be balancing both the optimal and the realistic part. So it should be a realistic decision with the best solution at hand. So let's take an example of that scenario right now. Um, in South Africa, in our day-to-day lives, I think the the major issue or the major constraint for any business would be load shedding. So you have to take a decision factoring in the load shedding component inside your day-to-day business lives, and take a decision based on that. Another constraint that I can think of is basically let's say you have a limited marketing budget. So you need to think properly what kind of, where do you want to spend that limited marketing budget that you have? In which way do you want to spend it? And all of these kind of constraints, they can be easily answered through with the help of data. So this data that you get is basically your previous performances that has happened. You are basically analyzing it properly. So you are using a human intelligence behind it, and it is not something which is automated by a bot, but it's something a human thinks about, and you can easily make that decision out of it. So yep, let's move on to the next one, where before we get into what digital analytics is, I want to just introduce one analogy. Let's revisit Denzel's example. So Denzel has multiple offline retail stores across. In one is in Johannesburg and one is in Cape Town. But there are a few things that he might not be able to understand in the offline world. So like in his offline retail store, he will never be able to understand. He might not be able to understand where have his customers heard about his business. So like for Denzel to actually know where the customers are hearing about his business, he has to go to each and every person and ask them specifically. The second one would be Denzel would never know what they are looking at in their store. So like, for example, if there is a person who is, let's say, interested in maybe one type of honey, or he might be interested in some honey cakes, or maybe some other honey related product. If he's just browsing, you will never know which is the exact thing that caught his eye, and he's thinking of buying that, which kind of a product. You might not know, Denzel might not be able to know that, in the offline store. Then another case would be like he might not know their past purchases. So like for this, let's take an example that there are two stores Denzel has, and in reality, he cannot be physically present in both the stores at the same time, correct? So let's say a customer comes to store A when Denzel is not present let's say a customer comes today in store A when Denzel is not present in the store. He buys something and then leaves. The next day, Denzel is present in the store and he comes back. Now Denzel doesn't have an idea why this customer is coming back. What is influencing is this particular visit. Is there an issue he might have faced in his last visit, or the product that he sold was not good or not bad? He might not be able to understand that properly. So this is just one example. It could be a couple of other people that would also be there, which could be in this example. Then this last one basically comes as so we all have seen this, like when you have a store, not all people come to it. Not all people come inside. So, but we never undo understand, like, why are some people coming in, some are just, walking by. So these are some of the challenges you can face in an online retail store. But when this particular challenges go for your digital online website, it basically can be easily answered with the help of digital analytics. So all of these questions, digital analytics can easily help you with that.
So, Tanmay, you're saying with the use of digital analytics, when I have an online store, I'm able to measure exactly where customers heard about the business, like, or how they've heard about our business, what they looked at in the store. So if they picked up a particular honey jar and dropped it after a couple of seconds, or didn't pick up the honey biscuits, we'd be able to see that. We'd know that they previously bought the honey biscuits and now they've come back for another batch of honey biscuits. So there must be something really fantastic about the product. And we'd also know customers from everybody that we basically reached about our store, who walked in through our door versus who didn't. Is that the type of stuff we're able to actually measure through digital analytics?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly as you have framed it, Nastassha. So let's actually, in terms of understanding this, let's go on to the next slide where we dive a little deeper into understanding what is digital analytics. So basically, in terms of layman terminology, digital analytics is basically a quantitative evaluation of the performance of your online content. So it's basically a performance indicator of how your online content is. Like, this online content could be anything. It could be your website, your apps, any advertising campaigns you are running, any social media campaigns you're running, or any other different kinds of digital channels you're using. So digital analytics lets you know how each thing is performing. You can go in very minute details and try to understand and measure exactly which thing is performing which way. So like to how does it help you? It basically lets you understand which campaign is driving sales. So going back to the example of Denzel, where he wanted to know about where are the customers hearing about his business. So let's take an example that there is a Facebook campaign you are running, and then there is an Instagram campaign you are running. Facebook campaign brings in like 100,000 people, whereas Instagram campaign is bringing in 10,000 people. Now, with the help of digital analytics, you definitely will know this number. But apart from this, you will also understand, out of the 100,000 people that came to your website, how many actually bought something from your website? What is the amount of sales that happened through the Facebook campaign versus what is the sales that happened through Instagram? So this data can then help help you in understanding which channel is performing better, which campaign is performing better, which you want to keep on running, which is wasting your money and you should stop basically at this moment. These kind of decisions you can take quickly with help of digital analytics. Another reason why you should go for digital analytics is, I would say, it lets you understand which products your customers are interested in. Like, again, relating back to Denzel, he wanted to know which of his products are most popular, or which of the customers are interested in which product. So with the help of digital analytics on the website, you will definitely be able to understand this particular scenario. Like when you employ digital analytics on your website, each and every action that a user will perform there will get captured, and that data will get be sent to you. So you will know how many people have shown an interest in, let's say, if we take example of Denzel again, let's say how many have shown interest in natural honey versus how many people have shown interest in honey cakes. So this kind of a bifurcation can be easily taken out of digital analytics. It also lets you better answer the needs of your customers. So definitely, if you understand what products your customers are interested in, which are your most popular things, you can automatically answer what your customer needs. Because for any business to thrive, customer experience and customer managing the customer's needs becomes the most important thing if they want to succeed. So digital analytics definitely helps you in that direction as well. So let us try to also understand how does it actually help a small business. So there are basically three main pillars in which it would be like digital analytics would help a small business. The first one is effectively understand your customer. So for any business to increase sales, or let's say even if it's a starting business, you need to make your product in such a way that you are catering the correct customer. So for that purpose, you definitely need to understand who you are serving. So so that you can offer a better product to the customer, or you can identify new business opportunities in that field, or whichever or where your product could be used. So digital analytics will definitely help a small business in that aspect. The second point is it reduces guesswork in any strategy. So the strategy could be any kind of business strategy. It could be something related to your day-to-day activities. It could be anything related to your marketing strategies. It could be anything related to your revenue-related strategies, anything. So what digital analytics is helping you with is it's reducing the guesswork. And how does it do that? Is it's basically providing you data, so that the decisions that you'll be taking would be data backed decisions. There would be some basis on it, so it won't be any guesswork. Like, okay, let's say I feel like, if let's say Denzel feels that he should change his logo, but does he really need to change his logo? Would be something which will he'll receive from the data that he'll get out of it. So what reducing guesswork will do for your small business would be it will reduce the risk that you take in anything. uh, it will employ better decision making. So in any way you have like a data backed up decision, which will definitely let you have a better decision at any on any point of your journey. And obviously it will save you money and time. Since you're making a better decision and faster decision, you definitely save time, as well as like the earlier examples where we saw, like if you are spending money needlessly in something which you're not getting output from, it will definitely help in assessing those things as well. And the most important part of digital analytics is it provides you real-time data. So when we say real-time data, it means like when the customer has, let's say, visited your website, in just an hour's time, you will know it in your systems that this customer, there is this customer who has visited these many pages, who has browsed these products, and all of those data very quickly. So what real-time data will help you with is it gives you smoother operations. Your day-to-day activities become quite a lot smoother because you are able to make faster decisions. Having real-time data is very handy. You can make very quick and very faster decisions with the help of it. And another point it helps you with, it decreases the amount of errors that you can make. So if let's say you are selling something online and there is some payment gateway in your on your website, and let's say there is some issue that is happening on the payment gateway where people are not able to uh, pay properly for the pay properly in terms of the maybe a credit card or a debit card. So through basically digital analytics, these kind of issues can be addressed a lot quickly. This can be detected a lot quickly, and this will help you, address them very quickly and solve the issues very quickly, which can, basically will mean your business would go around properly. So the next thing, the main thing that then comes into is how do we measure digital analytics? Like there would be some common things that any business can, take up uh, for measuring their business analytics, or their business basically. So for this purpose, I'll be taking an example of a website online. It's called Faithful to Nature. Thanks a lot, Faithful to Nature, for giving your website as an example so that we can explain each and every measures that we have easily.
So, guys, I just want to be very clear. This is not an endorsement of Faithful to Nature at all, but just for the practical example of Denzel's honey, we found that Faithful to Nature had a good website set up that would allow us to practically be able to show you guys the power of what comes with digital analytics, and just make it a little bit more like simpler for you guys to understand. So thank you, Faithful to Nature. We are using it because your website is really good. So if anybody does see this from Faithful to Nature, we appreciate it.
All right. So let's actually dive into some common measures that any business can, look at when they are employing digital analytics in their business strategy. So
Tanmay, sorry, before we get into the common measures, I think one thing that I also just want our audience to know as well is a lot of these metrics are shared across the different platforms that they may already be engaging with. So if you already have, for example, an Instagram page, some or even all of these metrics may be available when considering measuring the impact of your Instagram page. Similarly, if you're using platforms like a website, for example, you will have very, very similar metrics. So some things you may have seen or has sounded a little bit similar to something you've looked at before, either on Meta platforms, Google platforms, or your own custom website. But this is just basically a high-level view of some of the metrics we believe are quite important, especially if you're starting your actual digital analytics journey in terms of measuring the impact of all your efforts.
Definitely. So, like Nastassha, as you mentioned, different kinds of platforms like Instagram, Facebook, they have their own analytics, like free analysis as well. But these measures are like common across all different kinds of platforms that are there, and these are just some examples of it. We won't be covering the entire length of all the examples or all the measures that would be that anyone could employ. These are just some common things that would be useful for any business, whatever platform they might be using. So let's dive into it. First one is basically a user. So what is a user? It's basically a unique or a new visitor to the website. So if we tie this, like to explain this, let's tie it back to an offline retail store. So the number of people that would be entering your retail store, you would count them as the visitors to your store, right? So in similar terms, for any website, for any channel online, unique visitors are the customers or are the users that are visiting your website. Simply put, they are the unique count of visitors who are visiting your website.
If you have to think about this, so if we can expand on it a little bit further, for you to end up selling, we always call it like a sales funnel. For you to sell, you need customers. And this is the starting point of your actual sales funnel in terms of how many people are potential customers coming into your store. And there's a reason why we don't call them customers, because they haven't bought yet, right? They're just entering your store. They've just put their first foot in. They're starting to pick up and engage with the rest of your platform or your product set. And that's why we refer to them as users. But the whole idea is for users to ultimately become paying customers.
Exactly.
Through various initiatives that we'll go through. Oh, next one.
Exactly. Yeah. So the next one is basically sessions or visits. So think in terms of an offline, retail store. A session could be said as the amount of time a visitor has, entered your store, he browsed a lot in your store, and then has left your store. So the amount of time he spends inside your store would be considered as the first one visit or one session. Let's say he keeps on coming back the next day and then the day after that. So the number of visits the customer has to your store is basically becomes 3. So in similar terms, on a digital channels, or let's take an example of this Faithful to Nature website. If I'm visiting this website right now, I'm in my first session. I'm basically in my first visit to this particular website. Now, if I close this website right now and reopen it again, I would still, when I reopen it again, I have basically re-entered the website. So this would be considered as the second visit, my second visit to this particular website. So in basic terminology, the number of times a user visits your website would be termed as a visit or a session. And generally, in terms of a benchmarking, a 30-minute window of activity is generally termed as a session.
So, if we can just expand on this, why this is super important in terms of knowing sessions and visits, especially if you have a product that is not something that people buy once every 2 years, for example. Frequency of visits is going to be quite important because you want customers to keep coming back to buy your products. So if we think about a Denzel's honey, I mean, depending on how much honey you consume within your household, you would want Denzel to come. Denzel would want his customers to come back and either try new flavors. So they've got 2 or 3 of his honeys jars in their cupboards at any given time, or if they have favorite honey flavors that they might like, that they come back quite often in terms of coming back to buy again. But what sessions also helps with is how many times people need to come before they make a decision to buy. So if people don't look at your products for the first time and buy immediately, but they have to come back time 2 or session 2 or session 3 before they buy, digital analytics helps you measure that so that you can then be very informed about your buying journey potential of your actual customers that come to the actual website itself.
Exactly. Like as you mentioned, it lets you know how many times the user has visited before actually buying that particular product. So you can base your strategies using this one particular metric. Like how many times does the customer have to come back to, finally buy this thing? If you can, make it more interesting or maybe more informative about the product in any way, so that he converts from a user to a customer very faster. This kind of decisions you can understand through this one matrix. Let's move on to the next one. It's basically a page view. So page views is basically a technical term for any website or an app. It basically measures how many times your web page or the current website has loaded and reloaded. So it just amounts to if there is high number of page views, could also say that you might have some issue with the website, or otherwise if you have high number of users as well as high number of page views, it just shows that people are interested in whatever you're selling. So with the combination of these few metrics, you can understand the behavior of the customer very properly.
So this is also very important in terms of businesses that have a big catalog. So if you, similar to a honey business, have 5 different flavors or 5 different product sets, you would expect or you would want people to see more than one product that you have, especially if you're trying to convert them to buy, because you want to show that you've got choice, you've got variety in terms of what you offer. So a lot of page views can be a good thing, but to Tanmay's point, it's got to be relative to the other metrics, because if you've got a lot of people the same customer viewing the same page multiple times, that could indicate that there's actually a problem with your website rather than people looking at the variety that you have on offer.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, let's move on to the next measure. So another one we have is like an exit rate. So tying back to the offline example again, uh, it's very handy to know, like, if how many people come to your store, they just browse around and just leave without buying anything. So exit rate is basically the same in terms on a digital channel. So like the number of people that are coming to your website, browsing around the website, looking at different products, but ultimately leaving without doing any sale, that number indicates your exit rate. And generally, the lower the exit rate, the better your website is performing. The next one is like a super important one in terms of any website or any digital channel that you have. So it's known as bounce rate. So it's basically the percentage of visitors who only viewed a single page and they left. So to understand this one a little bit better, let's go to the website actually. So let's say I go on Google and I have typed faithful to nature honey. And I clicked on the first link that I get and I land on this particular page. Now on this page, I just go around, I just scroll down a bit, I just scroll down up. I don't click on any of the filters. I don't click on any of these buttons or anywhere on the website. I don't click anywhere. And I just go and simply leave the website here. I just click on this cross and I just simply leave. So this would be treated as a bounce rate. And the reason why this metric is important is because it lets you know if the content that you're displaying, the products that you're displaying, are they enticing enough for the customer to stay more and progress further in the journeys that you have, progress further in understanding what exactly are these products about, should I buy them or not. So it's a very good indicator in terms of letting you know how your initial face value, if you would say, how your business would perform going forward.
The lower the bounce rate, again, similar to the exit rate, the lower the bounce rate, the better your website is performing, because bounce means people aren't engaging. The minute somebody clicks at least a product or goes into a next step or one of the call to actions, that will no longer be considered a bounce. So that allows you to start looking at, to Tanmay's point, the content that you've got, understanding your audience better, and understanding which products sell faster, because that should be the type of products that you display on your website first, or the additional information you should be showing to the customer to get them potentially further down the funnel. Cool, next one.
Yeah, so just on the bounce rate, like in terms of a technical definition, it is like it's only those number of visitors who triggered a single server request to your analytics server. So this is a bit of a high technical definition, but it's basically in terms of your analytics server, you just get one single request. So the next measure that is there is basically the average session duration. So this matrix lets you know how long each average visitor is staying on your website. So how long each of the session is on an average period of time, how long it is. So for example, if the customer is coming on the website and let's say he's going on checking on faithful to nature product properly, then let's say he goes back to he reads about faithful, what this product is, what is the description, what is it offering, and let's say he go back to other products. So in a way, he's spending more time on the website. So the longer duration of time, it just tells you that your content is maybe a lot of engaging, and your customers are very much interested in all the types of different kinds of products you might have to offer.
So I think, Tanmay, one thing though is there's also a balance in terms of how long, because you also want to make sure that customers have the right amount of information and spend the right amount of time so they can get to a decision. Because if you've got too much information that a customer needs to navigate through, at some stage you're going to start seeing a high engagement time, but very low conversion, because people aren't getting the right balance of information they need to inform the conversion rate. So again, there might be some, industry standards that we could look at, but this, I believe, is a lot more relevant to your nature of your business and the type of stuff you're displaying on your website. So look at this metric in relation to your conversion rates and assess from customers that buy, how long on average do the people that buy spend on your website versus those that bounce and exit versus those that spend a bit more time but don't buy, because then you'll be able to find what works well for you and your business.
So, to explain this, I can right now in terms of benchmarking, benchmark in terms of an e-commerce market. So where you're selling phones and all, the general benchmarking I would say would be around 5 to 8 minutes. So if the time goes above that, we generally consider that there might be some extra information which might be confusing the customer about the product, or maybe we are giving in too many options that the customer is very confused to choose, exactly confused about what he should choose. So as you mentioned, each market, each business would have its own different benchmarking in terms of the average session length a customer would spend. Then the next one that comes is the percentage of new sessions. So acquisitions are very important for any business. Getting in new customers to your business is, I guess, the main goal of any kind of business, be it a starting business or be it some experienced setup business who is running for hundreds of years. Everyone wants to get new customers. So the percentage of new sessions lets you know how many new customers are coming to your website. Similar to what in an offline store, how many new people are visiting your store. This would be, if you consider the website, it would be similar, the number of new people or new users that are coming to your website who you can ultimately turn into a customer. So if you see, it's sort of you're identifying new business opportunities using this one metric. Then the next one that comes is pages per session. So this is basically the average number of page views that are happening in each session. So it's basically, if we say in terms of benchmarking, if the number of page views per session across multiple sessions are quite high, it could be an indicator in terms that there could be something wrong or something faulty happening with your website, and you might need to check into it. If this number is relatively moderate, it means everything is going good right now. So it could be an indicator in terms of that. Then the last most common measure is basically the goal completions. Goal completions are specific, desirable actions that the business wants the customer to perform, wants the user to perform. It's that particular step where your user is basically converting from user to a customer. So that would be the basic aim of any business. And with digital analytics, you basically definitely are able to measure this particular indicator, which lets you know how many new users who have browsed your products are converting and becoming your customers. So you can effectively increasing your revenue and your sales.
If we had to use the example of Denzel's honey or even Faithful to Nature's honey, it would be how many people land on the website, look at the products, add it to cart, and ultimately buy the product. Because the goal of all visitors or all customers, potential customers that you have visiting the website, the goal is to get them to buy the product. So in this particular case, or in any e-commerce business, the goal completion rate would be the amount of people, or basically a conversion rate. Versus if you're in a nature of a service-based business, your call to action or your goal for your customer might be something around booking an appointment, to inquire more about the product or service, or even booking the service itself. And I think that would then determine the goal. The goal, there is still a goal. It's just not a buying goal, but it's a leads journey that could eventually end up in a sale because you're not selling physical products, like the honey business example that we've used. And the reason why it is important to measure your goal completion, if that's the ultimate goal that you want your customers to do, you need to see how successful your platforms are at achieving that goal. Because if you've got a low goal completion rate or a high number of customers or potential users that aren't buying, that means that your efforts are wasted. So you're attracting customers, but you're not able to get them to buy. Versus if you have a high goal completion rate, it then means that a lot of your efforts in getting customers into your funnel will be beneficial. Because the more people you're putting in, the more people you're actually able to successfully get out in terms of what actually the goal is. So out of all these metrics, the goal, it's all to lead to how do you get a higher goal completion. That would probably be the most important metric that you've got to track in any digital platform.
Exactly. Like I do remember, like we have mentioned a hairdresser example in like previous master classes. So if we take that example for a hairdresser, the goal would be getting more appointments in from their channels. So completing that action would be the ultimate ultimate way that the business can thrive. So goal completion rates are very important in that terms. So Nastassha, you might ask me, like we know now these many measures are there, but then where do we measure it? What are the tools? So let's actually dive into it. There are various amount of tools that are present in the market, a lot amount of tools for digital analytics, but the main tools that digital analytics the businesses, different kinds of businesses use are mainly Google Analytics and Adobe Analytics. So these are quite the Google Analytics is actually a free tool which anyone can use to a certain extent. Like after that, you definitely have to buy license to use it fully. But for any small business, the free version of Google Analytics is like a very good way to go forward, and it's actually very easy to implement as well. Like if you want to incorporate Google Analytics with your website, it's quite simple, and Google actually provides you the entire documentation and step-by-step procedure as to how you put this tool on your website so that you can start using it to its full capacity.
If you are interested in finding out more about how to start using the free version of Google Analytics, we do have an article that we will link through to the space. So if you're viewing this on our YouTube channel, we will have it within the link down below. And if you're viewing this on our VHub platform, it will be within the content supporting this masterclass. I do want to stress starting with Google Analytics first, because it is probably the most user-friendly version of getting started with your digital analytics journey. Because when you link your website, a lot of the reports and a lot of the measures that we just discussed previously are already standardized. So there's very little you have to do to be able to get the insights that we just discussed earlier. They will already be available. And Google also has a very, very user-friendly way of describing the different metrics that they do have and provide. You probably could get by with using the free version of Google Analytics without ever having to get into the paid for version, but we're hoping that you're going to progress within your analytics journey that will allow you to want to start using a lot more of the fancier kind of analytics that is available. But start with the basics first and start with the free tools first, because that means then that you are able to commit without monetary investment that you've got to make on your side.
Exactly. So now we know which are the tools we can use to measure digital analytics. But let's actually dive a little bit into the types of insights which digital analytics can help you with. So now Denzel has a website already in terms of e-commerce. He's selling honey. The question Denzel comes up with is how much honey is he selling online? Also, another question that is coming in his mind is, which parts of his online business are not profitable exactly. So these kinds of questions can be answered with the type of insights which are revenue related. So these would be the insights which would answer your questions regarding what is the revenue you're getting out of the online journeys, what is your overall digital sales versus what is your digital sales in terms of each and every section or each and every category or different kinds of uh, bifurcations that you might have within your products. How is each thing performing in terms of revenue? You will be able to get that through digital analytics and the insights that you can get out of it. And basically, you can also, learn about what kind of campaigns, how are they performing, what is the revenue collected out of each campaign. So, like when you are giving, money for ads and campaigns, are they actually paying off? You easily get to understand that through digital analytics. So to understand
Sorry,
this
Tanmay,
point, yeah,
I don't want to lose the importance of that point, especially because of some of the dilemmas we know a lot of our small businesses face, where there's limited money in terms of marketing. It is very important
exactly.
to know exactly where to spend most of your efforts. So this will allow you to almost get like a sales funnel for each of your channels to determine where you should increase spend or probably decrease spend. If you don't have sufficient budget to play in all of the platforms, meta platforms like Facebook and Instagram, selling through TikTok, paying or partnering with influencers, also trying to run Google ads. This will allow you to prioritize which of your channels give you the most bang for your buck, and you can put all of your money there until you've got sufficient marketing budget to be able to start experimenting with other platforms to try and find what works for you. And that's why it's very important to be able to make sure that all the right measures are on your platform so that you can determine where your revenue is coming from, especially while you have very limited resources.
Exactly. Like the point you mentioned, like if we take an example for it, if we consider like there is a Facebook campaign that you're running and there's a Instagram campaign, and let's say the conversion, like the goal completion from the Facebook campaign is 90%, whereas from Instagram it is 10%. But the scenario is for in terms of costing, you're paying more to Instagram to run that campaign ad. So you could actually use that money to put all of that money into Facebook so that you get the maximum benefit out of it. In order to understand the revenue related journey, revenue related insights from the website, let's actually go to the Faithful to Nature website. So here, in terms of revenue, what the digital analytics will definitely tell me the overall digital sales that I'm doing, but will also be able to tell me how each of these categories are doing, like how my raw honey, what are my sales for raw honey, what are the sales for creamed honey, what are for infused, and so on. It can also tell you, which exact product is being sold the most. So in a way, you understand which is your most popular product, which is most liked by the customers. Because if it's most popular, definitely it will be selling the most. So this is one way you can understand the insight that you can get out of digital analytics. Another one is if it also lets you know in terms of your sales funnel where your drop offs are happening. So like let's say people come to this particular uh, product grid page, I would say, like I can see different kinds of products here. I have selected Faithful to Nature Raw, the first one. I go to that. So this is like a product details page. From here, I basically go onto the basket page. So when I click on add to basket, it basically will get added to the basket, and then I can basically go check the cart and check out and do the payment structure. So through digital analytics, you will be able to know how many people are going from this first page to this second page, and then from this second page to the next step, which is the basket, and so on. So you in a way you understand at each particular step how many are actually falling out from your sales funnel, and
in a way you can get an insight if there is any issue happening on any particular step. You can directly target that particular page. So like for example, if I see 100,000 customer are coming to product grid, and let's say 90,000 go to this product details page, and after that only 5,000 are going to my basket. So there is something definitely wrong here, which is causing that drop off of customers there. So uh, this is one example of an insight you can get with the help of digital analytics, so that you can increase your revenue. Another one, let's see what other questions Denzel has. So he's also interested in knowing what his customers like to see. So these type of questions, like basically these type of questions can be answered with online experience related insights. So this would be in terms of how your user experience is there on the website, like what is working for your site, what is not, like what content exactly speaks to the customer, what is your customer actually interested in checking out. It lets you address the pain points that are there in your journey. So like the earlier example where I mentioned that there could with the sales funnel and the drop offs happening at basket page, uh, it also comes parts of an online experience that there could be something wrong with the online experience there. So digital analytics will also let you understand where is the pain point happening in that particular page. You can definitely make user friendly decisions with it, and it basically will provide a proper view in terms of where your business should go. So to understand the online experience a bit, let's take this example where on one side we have a product where there is no description of the product, there is no ratings, there is nothing, and even the add to cart button is kind of grayed out. Whereas there is another example where the same page has a proper description, it has rating, the add to cart button is like quite bright, so you can click it. So this was actually one example in case of Denzel, where his earlier website had this kind of an UX, and he was confused as to why this product is not selling. When he changed his design to this particular piece where he added a bit of description, suddenly his sales started coming in. So if you see digital analytics, the data that there's no sale happening led him to believe that definitely there is something wrong here. So he could change the online user experience that is the user might face, and which will definitely in turn lead to more sales of that product.
Good thing about digital analytics and the insights that it provides is it allows you to mirror the type of experience you would have in retail without needing physical people. Because if you apply the insights and you test and learn what works and doesn't work, you're able to see through the results whether it's effective or not. So in the case of Denzel, understanding that this is probably his best-selling honey or one of his better-selling honey, from his physical store, not having ratings that lets people know that actually other people that have bought this enjoy it is one of the things that you could do to help people want to try out this honey as well. Giving people a little bit of a clearer view about what's included in the honey versus what's not included in the honey also helps people make better informed decisions. And that's why when we say analytics allows you, revenue is super important, but you could probably see that from your stock that you've got in your warehouse on what's selling or not selling. What digital analytics allows you to do is see what you need to influence to sell more, because you now have deeper insights that you weren't able to get or extract before.
Exactly. And it's also an indicator of, how is your content? What kind of content you are displaying, so that is it reaching out to the people? Are they understanding what you want to convey, what you want to sell? So it's a excellent indicator for that as well. So now that we have a basic understanding of digital analytics, what to do next? definitely this would be a question in a lot of you guys' minds. So the basic things that you can take from here is, first, you can address high and low points in your matrix. So if for example in the data you see that on this let's say on this website, my faithful to nature raw Finbush honey is selling, but my simple bee raw honey is not selling, you definitely need to understand what is happening in which journeys. And this way, you can definitely leverage the overperforming areas. So, like, you can replicate the overperforming areas in your in other parts of your business as well, and you can reduce the underperforming areas that way. So under trying to understand what is, let's say your simple bee raw honey is selling more, if you go into the journey and get an exact measure of why is it selling more, you can try to replicate to max eucalyptus honey as well, which is not actually selling. So in a way, you are reducing the risk that you're taking with this particular product and trying to maximize your profit with it as well at the same time. Another thing you can do is integrate personalized offers or personalize your content. So with digital analytics, you have a basic understanding of what your customer requires. So let's say with simple bee raw honey, there is a group of customers who also require honey cakes. So what you could do is when you have identified such group of people or customers already, you could combine the two products and sell them. So you are personalizing your products specifically for a group of people. So this is only possible because you have digital analytics in place and you're able to measure that accordingly. And the last part is you reach your audiences with relevant content. So definitely, as we have been talking about, using marketing channels to the fullest. And since we understand what our audiences are, as we have talked in the initial slides of why digital analytics is important, what is its role, reaching the audiences, reaching the correct customers, the correct users, so that you can get the maximum profit for your business. That is the next thing you should use business digital analytics for in your business. So ideally, yeah, this is like a starting point from my side in terms of basic understanding of digital analytics, and I hope I have done justice to it in explaining.
Awesome. So Tanmay, we know that digital analytics is an extensive topic, all the way from what you can measure, the tools you use, etc. But this has given us a really good overview. In terms of next steps on our side, we are going to hone in a lot more on Google Analytics. We currently have an article and a masterclass that you can start engaging with. The masterclass was done through Google directly. And I think you can start leveraging that to start your actual analytics journey. What we will also do is introduce a masterclass topic around what we call user experience, because a lot of what Tanmay was referring to in terms of the improvements that you need to make to your website is around a topic called user experience. How do you improve the experience of your digital platforms so that you can increase your goal completion rate? That will be an upcoming masterclass that we will have very soon, and that will allow you to start, one, measuring, and two, understanding what improvements you need to make as a combination between the two. So I do thank you for your time in watching today's masterclass. If there are any questions, please reach us on any of our social media channels. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, and our teams, our social media teams will definitely put us in touch. And if there are any questions, we can reach out with the response directly. So yes, thank you for your time. And I look forward to seeing all the improvements you guys will all make around the improvements to your actual online performance, because you're starting to use the insights that come with digital analytics. Thank you, Tanmay, for all the content and all the time and your expertise as well. It's also really appreciated.
My pleasure, Nastassha. And thanks a lot for this opportunity as well.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.